What is up, everybody? This is your chronically Caucasian vocal analyst speaking, and now we're going to listen to some Brandy.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. Sorry, on the sound. I think that's really fun here. Okay, all right. One of the things that can be very challenging in a setup like this, and I think it's worth noting, having a guitar and a piano means that there's a lot of fighting for the middle, right? The middle, like the frequency, right? So anywhere from like 150 to 500, that's where we get lushness, right? That's where we get body of tone. And so what they've done here is they've EQ'd and panned the guitar and piano. This is a common EQ strategy when mixing guitar. Notice how all you're really getting from the guitar is like the shimmery high part, which is gorgeous. And now she has plenty of room to work with.
Almost made you cry, almost made you happy, babe.
So I'm about to use the F word. Everyone in the comments is going to go, oh, that's what's going to happen. People are going to type that out. It's going to be an onomatopoeia. You're going to see it. And that's how you know that they're angry. So what is the F word? The F word is falsetto. When there is a mechanism, there is a way to falsetto, and it requires stiffening the folds. That's not necessarily a bad thing if that's what the sound you want is. In this case, I think it's being used really, really well. This straight tone breathiness into a little sumptuous tone with vibrato. And I really, really, really like that.
Made you love me.
Right? That's so gradual. That's so well done. That little lean into the vibrato happens just because she's just tilting that thyroid cartilage just a little bit. And so we get that. And she's also doing it gradually over time. So we're getting a really special treatment. In one phrase, we're getting a lot of different tone colors.
Didn't I? Almost had me thinking.
I love this thing. I've been seeing more and more of it. Jasmine Sullivan is probably the one that I know who does this most often, but with extremely different goals and effects. This thing where the lower lip kind of stays soft and you kind of curl the upper lip up gives a certain kind of sound. It's very specific.
Almost had me thinking.
Right? Thinking. It almost like it kind of gets the lows kind of out of there and really brightens the vowel. It's a nice way to have dynamic control without just making like raw breath or fold thickness adjustments. It's just a nice little quick way, subtle way to change your tone.
Almost heard you saying you were finally free.
I like a lot of what's going on here vowel-wise. We talk about the lip thing and but watch how she uses that. It's like a spice, a little seasoning, a little salt. Trust me, I'm white. I know what unseasoned food is. Okay, this is not it.
Yeah, you were finally free.
So watch how it's like a combination of what we talked about so far. Here are the elements. Stiff folds to get breathiness and very little air so that the folds don't adduct. Okay, and that leaves that space between them that gives us breathy. This like retraction of the upper lip and really kind of smooth of the lower, and then she's going to round it out at the end of the phrase.
What was always missing for you, babe? You found it in me.
Right? That's a journey. That's a tonal sonic journey. We start with intentionally airy, intentionally bright, and then end here with the lips soft and and puckered forward, which extends the vocal tract, which gives us lower frequencies. It powers up our low end. So if I go, right? Very big difference. So just super clever, super smart. This is actually one of those things that can be kind of difficult. If you have pre-recorded overdubs and you are trying to sync with them and tune with them, it's really tough because you have to be super, super exact on your pitch. It's really, really a tall ask for most people. You have to be mindful of tuning with these, especially because the overdubs are straight tones. So if she adds a little bit too much, vibrato, the tuning won't be there. So listen to how she kind of just matches with and blends with her own overdubs. I think that's really, really nice. It's a great blend. Look at how that B is right on time. That B is right on time. And this has been happening throughout the thing. Throughout the performance. I'm just really, really a sucker for this moment here because everyone else stopped. All the other instrumentals stopped. And then she is perfectly on time. Listen to when that B hits. Right? The guitar's there, the piano's there, everything's there. It's perfectly on time.
You build me up, you only let me down.
Ooh, so many little nuggets here.
I'm real close, but every time.
So this stopping and starting of the note is really, really, I think, skillfully done.
You came real close.
Beautiful legato phrase. Now she's going to contrast it with some little bit more percussive vocals.
But every time you build me up.
What I love here is that she'll use a glottal on up, right? So in all the other words, all the other syllables, she had the help of a consonant to make it percussive. But when she gets to up, she has to use what's called a glottal, which is up, right? It's a sudden closure of the, oh, sorry, wrong motion. Boom. There we go. Your folds are closed, and then you open them up with the sound, right? That's a glottal. So all of these things are being used to kind of get this nice percussive phrase after this really nice smooth legato phrase. This is what I'm used to from Jasmine, who does this often. And I'm sure, I'm sure many artists do this, right? It's not like Jasmine's trademark trick, because she has a gajillion tricks. It's not just that loose lip on the bottom, kind of curled back upper lip. It's also how she is lined up against the microphone. So if you're really close up to a microphone, you get what's called the proximity effect. Oh boy, in a world, right? You get that lower boost. But the farther you get away from it, especially when you're doing this, all right, and you're pointing your mouth literally away from the microphone, that's really going to affect the sound, right? Listen to it when she does it. Listen to it when she doesn't do it. You see that? That's actually a perfect moment to really get that. Right here. Watch what happens when she bops her head left and right. That's cool. That's great mic technique, right? These are things like, as an opera singer, like I had my, head in the sand, right? Like I was the ostrich working full time at Trader Joe's retail and making loud noises happen in the back while I stocked milk. But what she has here is really clever, which I never really would have thought of. This like waving back and forth with the mic technique is really, really a very distinct sound, a very distinct kind of trick here.
You'll be sorry. Maybe you'll be cold.
And again, that rhythm, that entrance is really nice. Consistently, she's like perfectly on time. This is something that is more idiomatic of recording artists. It's more idiomatic of people who sing with instrumentalists often. To me, this shows experience. She's on time, and it's amazing how many singers just don't.
Baby, you'll come running back, babe, from the cruel world.
And then her runs are silly in time too, right? I don't think it's that impressive or difficult to do like a bunch of scales, right? That's not. I don't think that's that difficult to do a bunch of notes. You thin your folds, you get very little air, and then you just right? And some people can do it easier than others. But what I love here is that it's in time and it's very musically done. First of all, hello, Rasp. I see you. It's a lovely sound there.
From the cruel world.
The timing, the way that the vowel shifts is part of this painting with notes.
Running back, babe, from the cruel world.
Right? And some of these like little quick movements of the lips and the jaw are done specifically on the beginning of the measure. Do, right? Like if we just kind of snap here.
Running back, babe, from the cruel world.
Right? These dramatic vowel shifts that happen on the downbeat. Incredible. That's a really, really smart musical decision. That's super subtle.
Way it goes, almost doesn't count.
I have to just a slight shout out. The person who requested this, her name is Keisha Charmaine. She is an awesome content creator and does a lot of discussion with locks and lock care. Keisha, if I've said anything wrong, you can go ahead and comment and I'll pin your comment. But the reason I bring it up is fabulous hair, really cool hairstyle, and I just, I think that's neat.
Almost doesn't count.
Nice. I got some folks yelling at me. Apparently we're not done, but I guess I could have discerned that. Oops. Well, that little bubbly thing reminds me of Bootsy Collins.
You live in my time of need, so I'm calling you now.
This is really, really just a bunch of ear candy, really cool rhythm stuff here, just musically.
What else can I do? Don't you hear my plea?
And I love this kind of music. It's really, really, really funky here.
Can I do? Don't you hear my plea?
Listen, it is not easy to get me moving, okay? I have tighter hips than the sculptures in Venice, all right? My caucasity is so high that I'm a traffic accident waiting to happen. I just reflect the sun. I have to use specific filters to not blind my viewers. It's very hard to get me to move like this unless it's super, super funky.
Automatic, so
I love it. Where she stops is just as important as where she begins. Listen to where she stops. It's a really cool, like, ooh, on time. Yeah, that's what it is. That's the technical term.
automatic, so it's for you, and I don't know.
What's really, really clever here is that it is not her in this setting, in this musical backdrop of what's being played and what's not being played. It is not her responsibility to give us the downbeat. It's not her job. There's plenty of things giving the downbeat, right? And so that means she can borrow phrasing idioms that are almost more jazz than hip hop or R&B. Which is interesting. I think like funk is stemmed from jazz, which is a little fun note there. Right, so she's emphasizing, even in the runs, emphasizing the upbeat, right? Right, and then she plays with it. This is not by accident. This is how you know someone's an amazing musician. Listen to how she's crafting these runs. It's not a bunch of notes. It's the vowel change will change. She'll just do a glottal. She'll do all of these little things depending on what she wants to emphasize rhythmically. And it's not one thing. If you tap your foot to this, sometimes it's on the upbeat, sometimes it's on the downbeat, and it shifts, which is what makes it interesting, right? This funky rhythm is not going to change dramatically, right? Otherwise, it's not funky, right? You kind of have to have a nice, consistent groove to have a nice, fat bass line. Unless you're Larry Graham, then you do what you want. But this is why I love this right here. Ooh! Okay. Okay. I respect that. Oh man, this is really, really nice. I am reminded very vividly of, I grew up in the 90s when pop was sort of synonymous with R&B. There was Brian McKnight hit the top charts. Destiny's Child was in a lot of places. R&B was in a really, really, really dominant spot. And these stylings really remind me of that era in a lovely way. I really enjoy it.
I could be wrong, but I feel like something could be going on.
You know, there are a lot of people who like just exist as vocalists by creating sounds, doing different sounds, hitting a bunch of high notes. But I really feel a sense of rhythm here that I don't actually hear from almost any other singer. It's not just exact, it's also playful, which is interesting. Dang. I love that. I love that. Oh man, that's great. This heavy, like, there's just so much sound going on here, right? It's almost like it's almost like Scarlet, like someone turned up the volume up to like 11 for a hot second, and then in contrast, she does a nice little run, trails off. Okay, we got more tunes here. Got more tunes.
Thank you.
This is another thing from the 90s I miss terribly. Thank you, Slap and Pop. I will always remember you fondly. I love that. This like car crash window glass sound that is like eating the snare hit in certain areas. This really clever sound design. Man, it's really, really dramatic, cinematic percussion moments. I don't know anyone else who's done this. I mean, I don't have a super wide knowledge of a bunch of artists, but this is really, really smooth stuff. I'm totally gonna yoink this.
There is no one else. That's what I'm gonna do.
I love this rasp here. She's really being selective of where this rasp comes in.
Here comes his word.
And it's a combination. This is different from a lot of different rasps. A lot of growls and squalling use the false folds, which are very, very tough. They're pieces of cartilage, and they can rattle. But it's very draining for the real folds when that happens. This is different. This is a vocal fry. So this happens because she's using so little air that the folds are not totally adducting. They're just kind of approximating and flip, 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 flip. And that's what makes that sizzle sound, because the folds do that very fast, right?
I'm gonna do, baby, I'm just a mess.
Those are orchestral hits. I mean, yeah, that happened a lot in the 90s, I know, but like that is really cool. Ooh, I love this here. She in the national anthem she did this too.
I turn my heart around if I'm making ground.
So when we get to a certain part in our range, it's very, very difficult for the folds to get fat enough and come together when you're super low in your low range, and in your particular, like if in whatever range is your low range, right? If I go, eventually I just get breath. She is extending her low range very intelligently. So the way some people compensate is they'll go, oh, and they'll swallow, they'll press down with their tongue, and that'll go flat, or it doesn't sound very attractive. But what she's doing here is she's getting closer to the mic. She's extending her lips, right? Which, as we've discussed before, right, that gives us a lower tone, or at least it amplifies the lower frequencies. So even though it's breathy, she's up on it, and there's enough compression on the mic that it's getting across.
I turn my heart around if I'm making ground.
Right? Very, very, that's not a very loud sound. But the reason why it works musically, that's the end of the phrase. Right? That's the end of that phrase.
Pretty baby, please tell me I'm gonna do.
Okay, I need to find out who came first before I open. Okay, so I was right about this. Mariah Carey came out first in terms of, like the first album in terms of who released what first. But of course, I mean, this is not like, R&B in the style of singing isn't, begin and end with Mariah Carey, right? Far from it. And apparently, in my Googling, they're doing a collaboration, which is totally appropriate. I really, really like what I'm hearing here, and there's different little vocal things that they do within this same style, and I really like it. Like the slap bass here is indulgent. I like that too.
Sitting up in my room, I'm making ground.
So that's the false fold stuff that I was talking about before. This is a lot more subtle of a contraction of the false folds, or reduction of the false folds, than is normally done. I'm hesitant to don't do this with anything but the lightest of air, okay? And what I mean is, like, put your fingers in front of your mouth. If you feel breath, too much, okay? We're only going to go up a little bit. Right? Right? So as if you're lifting a weight. That's going to bring your false folds together. But you have to be gentle. In this instance, they're only coming together a little bit for that just a little tinge of grit.
I know I pray that you'll invest in my head, making ground.
It's really, really, really nice. That's what I'm talking about, that little grit.
Sitting up in my room.
A little delay on the thank you there. It's like she's waiting for the track to start. She's like, thanks, sound guy. We're about to have a conversation. Her choice of percussion, I'm not sure if she's the primary voice in the production of these, but her choice of percussion is really, really, really unique, right? We had like these cinematic, boom with the strings, and like almost like a car crash, glass shatter for the effect. And then here we have something This is a snare hit reminiscent of 80s, where they would max up the reverb, right? Right? And then they would just kill the sound after a certain amount of time, right? It's this really, really big sound. But this is a much higher snare, right? It's not boom, it's like, tss, right? Like it's very, very clap-like, right? And then it's got a lot of verb and delay on it. It's a really interesting sound. One thing that's really important is that snare is occupying a lot of frequency range. That thing is big, boisterous, and occupying a lot of space. That's being accounted for, though. Listen to when these airy, mostly higher frequency vocals, right? She got her lower end of the vocals so that, this high whispery thing. It's just what's happening with the overdubs. And listen to, if you're wearing headphones, listen to where those are. I want to see if I'm recording in. Yeah, good, I'm not. Listen to where the snare hit is versus where the those airy vocals are. I mean, isn't that yum, right? I love these. This is a high caliber musician. I love a lot of these decisions. So listen to the consonants that we get here. Because R as a consonant doesn't have a lot of oomph, right? It's basically a vowel. It's a really weird vowel. Ra, right? So here she's outlining the rhythm, and then she gets this R. And from because of the arrangement, because of the way the arrangement is set up, the overdubs come in on the R. So where she's giving a lot of consonants to denote rhythmically what's going on, she gets that back on the R as a consonant because those overdubs come in at that point. To see you out, to be rude, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Nothing venture, nothing gain. Ooh. Ooh. We got synths. Ooh, a little granular, right? Little. I love the way that these horns are being used. So they're slathered with reverb, and there isn't really an attempt to make this like a super realistic horn sound, right? You're just not going to really get that unless you program it super intentionally. So the way that they're being used is for this really interesting hit and lead sound. And it's dope. Can I say dope? I feel like I just ruined that word, didn't I? Yeah. I love that. That's what I'm talking about. Only kind of first real love. It takes a village to raise up. We don't do it all. I think these are 808s, right? These are the boom, 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 right? Very low, very percussive. This is like a really, really interesting mix of that like 90s R&B style with trap, right? You got the horns, you got the sprinkle hi-hats, the 808s. That's a really killer drop. That's really lovely. That's a special